Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Silent breed is people!
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
E.T. Phone home.
It's the Al Travis Show. Love having our next guest on. He is the evidently fill-in for Senator Karen Housley, Senator Eric Lucero. She throws your name out in a heartbeat. She can't be there. Talk to Eric. Senator, how you doing? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always humbled to join you. And no, I appreciate Senator Housley. We have a great relationship, for sure.
She's a lot of fun. Do you hang with my buddy Phil much? Phil Housley, her husband?
I have not. In fact, I've ever actually met him that I'm aware of anyway.
Okay,
but
so
Senator
I need
Housley and I did go over to Israel together back in 2016, 17, somewhere in there.
All right.
But Phil was not there.
I need you to start calling him your buddy Phil when you talk to Senator Housley because it drives her nuts.
Okay.
Because I've never actually met him, but sometimes when she's doing the show from her house, he'll walk by, and when she has that fuzzy background, it almost looks like a Sasquatch walking back there. And I go, "Is that Phil?" Yeah. And so I say, "Hey, hello to my buddy Phil," and it's kind of caught on. Well, not with Phil. He's not real thrilled with it, but it's a lot of fun. So call him your buddy Phil. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Good deal.
We don't generally talk nationwide politics with Senator Housley, but I want to throw this out to you because it shows the likeness and the differences with the two parties. It would look today that enough Democrats, senators have decided they will get rid of the shutdown. Everyone should be happy with that because the world was coming to an end. I think you heard that news last week because it was still on. I got it. So now it's going to take some days to get everybody doing what they got to do to get back to camp and make their votes, but it looks like it's going to be shut down. Interesting. I've had some of your compadres on the show, but on the other side, saying that this was a Republican shutdown. Republicans did this. And I argue and said, wait a minute, all the Republicans have voted to keep the continuing resolution going. How do you say it's their fault? And it's a big argument. Comes out today, and now the Democrats are trying to take a victory lap that they've got the government back up and running. Can they have it both ways? The Republicans shut it down, but we turned it back on?
Of course they cannot. They can't have it both ways logically. But this is all politics. From the beginning, it's been politics. It's not logic. It's not what's for the best of the country. It's making a point and doing so in the public square. And that's why you've had so many of these pundits on both sides for this entirety of the last, 6-7 weeks, been on every news program, every radio program that they can possibly be, giving their commentary to give or promote their side's talking points. And so on the Democrat side, when they're trying to blame it on Republicans, again, it's just political spin. It's not reality.
But it does do something. I want to ask you who you think won on this. They do it for a reason. Like you say, let's send our guys out. Let's try to get popular opinion our way. And that's politics. But the far left today is very upset because they did this 40-day shutdown to get Medicare, and Obamacare reimbursements to stay at that level. They did not get that. So they're very upset. I don't know where you stand here, but I'll tell you, I'm a real fiscal conservative, and I'm not happy that we fought this hard to get a continuing resolution of the Biden money that we spent. This is a continuing resolution from the Biden era, and yet we have all sides of the House. I want the Republicans to do what they told me and get the 12 appropriations bills done. So I'm not happy either, and maybe that's how life works when both sides are upset. But who wins this battle, in your opinion? Because we're right back at it January 30th. This only goes to January 30th.
When it comes to politics, and not just politics, anything, but specifically politics, perception is reality.
Yep.
That's why everything is all about perceptions, not it just becomes reality. And so your question of Republicans going in, they went into this high stakes negotiation with a position of continuing the resolution. I'm with you. We need to return to a form of government where we are funding the individual appropriations separately. That hasn't happened. I don't know what it's been, a decade,
30
decades.
No, 30 years. Been like since the 78th and 80s, something like it's been forever.
Yeah.
So that's why, go ahead.
It's just an abuse. It's an abuse of the process, and it's laziness, and it's It's just gross. Is really what it is. But then, so that's unfortunately that's where the starting position. When you start with a position in negotiations, you're not gonna, you can't negotiate against yourself and go in a better position. So unfortunately, they started there, and so be it. The Democrats started with a position of they want subsidies for illegal immigrants, and they want to further or continue the subsidies for Obamacare, which go directly to insurance companies.
Which were increased because of COVID. And COVID is over. I hate to throw it to anybody. I know people still want to get their shot. COVID is over, okay? It's over. But I got to move on. I want to start this before we get to the break. Another one, and this is why you just get lost, but Kara Levin did a medical fraud case where this gal, Erna, we'll use her name, is called, hey, has this company, and I got the name of it here somewhere, Community Care Partners, been working with you in a thing called Adult Rehabilitative Mental Health Services? And Erna's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This company has been getting $188.90 multiple times a week, saying they're helping this woman who she's never seen them. Company says, yeah, somebody did it. We already fired him. Well, the guy wasn't doing it on his own, for heaven's sakes. What does he get? Get $10 an hour? You get more if anyway, it doesn't matter to me. Do we need to call and ask every Minnesotan to call the Department of Human Services and ask if they're getting services under my name because I don't know it? I feel sorry for Erna. She's in this. Should we once a week, once a month, all call in? You want to waste their time. Say, no, I want you to look my name up. Here's my, I want to find out if someone's getting it under me. How else do we stop this as your regular average citizen? Poor Erna.
Well, yeah, exactly. Again, another in a long list of stories of Governor Walz's fraud. And this is, it's pervasive and it's perpetuating. And unfortunately, we're going to have innocent Minnesotans who are now going to be caught up and being used. They're victimized with others profiteering through an illegal scheme that Governor Walz processes and agencies are permitting. The buck stops with Governor Walz. And so your question of how do we stop this? Each and every Minnesotan shouldn't have to call the Department of Health or any agency. That shouldn't be the burden. The burden is on the governor whom we elect to enforce integrity, and that's what he is not doing. That's how we change this, is by having a governor to actually enforce standards.
When I agree with you, but I want to go back to Erna. I'm feeling really sorry for this lady. So the federal government thinks she's been scamming them. How do you prove you didn't? That company says, oh, we know Erna from way back. What are you talking? This woman could be money away hiring lawyers to say I never talked to these people. There's a lot. This can be deeper, but here's the second part of this, and this is the next story, literally in line. KSTP came out, and they're doing a dive into why we chose Optum for this third party looking into these 14 things of fraud. I don't know Optum for anybody else. Maybe they're a great upfront company, but we're going to spend $2.3 million on it. Here's my question to you, Senator. Didn't we not get an independent auditor's office, a general inspector general, because it costs too much? If you're going to give this company $2.3 million this year, that's a good start. We could have our own person in charge of that, but the governor said no, and I think some of his left, and especially Senator Rust, right? Rest. She came out. Yes. She came out and said, "Hey, this is all wrong. Something's going wrong here." Is he losing his own people when he says it's about the money, but he just handed $2.3 million over when we could have did it in house?
So last year, when the legislation for the Office of Inspector General was making its way through all the different committees, because it would have jurisdiction. So starting to answer your question, so I think you said you're up against the break here, but to answer your question, yes, it's the height of hypocrisy. Yes, it could have been done with changes in statute on our side. And no, we do not need to hire a third party. We don't need to hire a private party entity to do what is fully capable of being done. And I'll even go further. We don't need any new laws. We don't need any new laws, any new funding. Governor Walz simply needs to enforce standards and integrity. But when the legislation was going before all the different committees, it came before, I'm on the Education Finance Committee, the Commissioner of Education or his staff was there, and they were adamantly opposed to the Office of Inspector General. Why? Because it would have give investigative authority to an entity that they don't control, and they don't want that. So I have no doubt that there's some, small print language that has an escape clause, or who knows what the fine print is, and they're going to be able to skirt accountability.
Well, I brought this up earlier today. You can call it the Al Travis Law, and I want you to sponsor it and get this thing through. Because common sense, just average Joes believe that it isn't so easy to steal from us, that all you got to do is say, we've had 1,000 kids at our location last week, and get a check, and then say, well, it was 3,000 this week. Oh, 3,000, here's your check. It just can't be that easy. So here's what I would like, the Al Travis Law, sponsored by Senator Lucero. If you are under investigation for fraud in any jurisdiction in the state of Minnesota, you may not receive money from any other jurisdiction in Minnesota. If you're in for Feeding Our Futures, you can't get in on the autism thing. We are stopping it now. We'll put an account. If you prove yourself innocent, you bet we'll pay you back. But if you're under indictment for fraud in anyone, I don't know why this has to be a law, but everybody does, because you keep looking at all the piles of people. The names keep coming up the same.
Yes.
So how is that not a law, Senator? And you call it the Al Travis Law. Just stop it. Just stop it now.
Yep, we offered of the multiple dozens of amendments we've offered last year and bills. That one that you just mentioned was one of them, and it was rejected. That exact idea. If you're under investigation, you will no longer qualify, and it was voted down.
I'm going to, okay, I got to go to break. I am going to blame the press then. They got 3-4 stories today. These guys are looking at individuals, and finally they're in the game. Got it. But the fact that bill, which hasn't been passed 65 years ago, beyond me, but the fact that bill was turned down, or that amendment did literally just say that should have been the front page of the paper. We don't want to stop it. That's what the paper should say. We don't want to stop it. This is crazy. This drives me nuts. And the other thing you would have done anyway, you would have made it a bill, would have put it up there, and it wouldn't have been 65 pages long. I could have done it, in a sentence and a half. Okay, exactly. A paragraph. I talk a lot, but yeah, okay, we got to fly. We'll be back of this. There's more to talk about. I got him, Senator Eric Lucero on the Al Travis Show.
About it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
More red meat for you. Senator Eric Lucero for you. Here's what's driving me nuts. Governor comes on Tom Hauser's show, says there might be some more fraud coming. Like, he act like, well, these guys are really good at it. It could be. And at the same time, he put out a bid to 4 companies to go through those 14 programs. 3 came back with bids. They picked Optum. I don't really care. But 3 days later, they shut down those 14 programs. You didn't tell me that he thought Tom's question hit him so well, he jumped on board and wrote up a proposal, sat it out, got it back in 3 days. We're going to look into this. He knew all along that it was going to happen. This is the same guy who an OLA report comes out on Friday last week, and they said, hey, he's got 12 problems here between him and the lieutenant governor of non-compliance, internal control deficiencies. They don't get the receipts. Their inventory's wrong. They put it in their payroll. Non-payroll expenditures are all off. And the governor says, oh, don't worry about it. I got those fixed now. And the auditor even said, well, we're not saying anything's illegal here. It's just really bad. This is the same excuse this guy gave with the Department of Human Services. When we got all those people for feeding our futures, the governor comes out and says, well, I'll let you know, no one in the state of Minnesota was accused of any crime working for the state. If you don't ask, you don't look, you don't do, you don't find this. Oh, we've already fixed it. How do I know you fixed it? You didn't worry about it up until the point the OLA showed up in your office. OLA didn't show up yesterday and get the stuff done. They've been there for weeks. He should have had it fixed. This is all, can I get by with it stuff? I hate that.
Yeah, it's spot on. Governor Walz is first of all, he's reactive. Second of all, he's only reacting to those items that he believes he will have vulnerabilities in his reelection bid. That's it. That's what's driving him. That's what's motivating him. He's not being driven by, should I do what's right because it's right? Should I enforce the law and enforce integrity, enforce standards, and be a fiduciary for taxpayer dollars because that's what I was elected to do, independent of potential, I don't know why that would cause him to not get reelected, but he's not doing what's right for the sake of doing what's right. He's doing the bare minimum in response to any transparency or that comes to light. And that he is an abysmal failure. And across the board, we can see this. And I have no doubt there's still stuff coming down the line.
Well, you can't stop it there. Again, I guess I don't know. I was shocked there's 14 more programs out there for Medicare. I mean, just what is the number? And then if it is, you can look it up. They'll all have something. They're just going to.
You want to know, and touching on that, 14 programs or doubling that, 50 programs, 100 programs or more, even in different agencies, here's the thing that's also happened over the decades that people need to be aware of, is that there could be program A that was instituted 25 years ago, and it's been going on, refunded all these years. And another legislator gets elected, has this great idea, another lobbyist, they put another bill, and there's significant overlap. It could be 50% overlap, 75% overlap, and there's no accountability. So you have this compounded for decades. There are so many programs across the state government that have overlap, that have lack of accountability, and there are so many dollars, billions of dollars that are being spent, even if it's not outright fraud, that are being spent with lack of efficiency. There's no feedback loop to ensure that there's high quality and reduce the redundancy. It's so shocking what's happened in Minnesota here.
See, I think back in the day, our age, I remember there was a big thing about they bought a hammer at Nassau for $400 or something. It's like, okay, that's waste. You get it. Somebody's putting some money. And you can go find that and figure it out. I don't even know. We don't even talk about waste in government right now. There's so much fraud that takes up the daily that we can't even look and say, wait a minute, these 4 programs all help the same people and it's just piling on top of piling. We don't have time for that. And to be quite honest, I don't think the people have the bandwidth for it, sir. Right now, I think we're so tired of seeing all this that we're just letting it's water off a duck's back at some point. So how do we ever get trust in government back?
Well, and how we get trust in government back is to elect people that are actually going to care, and to have a media that's actually, you said about the headlines and why that was voted down should be headlines. It wasn't a headline because the media is the mouthpiece of the left-wing value set in this state. That's why they're not going to show that. But the part that is the most angering, there are Minnesotans across the state in various areas of life that are genuinely hurting. right? They're struggling. They're working 2 jobs. They're getting up. Their alarm goes off at 5 a.m. They come home, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and do it all over again the next day. And they're struggling to pay their property taxes. They're struggling to pay all these kinds of bills that are across the board. And they could have more money in their pocket, except Minnesota state government wasted the surplus because of Democrats. They raised taxes $10 billion, taking more money from hardworking families just for those dollars to be lost to fraud. So the hardworking Minnesotans that are struggling, it does not need to be that way.
We got to figure it all out. Got to figure it all out by next election. Senator, I appreciate you being on. I really do enjoy you being on here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Back with more after this.